Well, good morning. It's exciting for me to begin our second week together and reflecting this morning on the topic. I remember how valuable it was for me in my 25-year study of A Course in Miracles to come to understand the process of forgiveness in a totally different way. That the Course speaks about a reversal quite often, the reversal of our mind, where what we once thought becomes completely reversed, undone, and recalibrated. So, and a lot of this has to do with certain spiritual principles like abundance, for example, that when we're exposed, and this is what I call the OASIS experience, when we are exposed to radical abundance, the abundance of beauty, of love, everything changes. Again, a key line that I like to use, that I made up some years ago, is how relates to how we see the world. And so I would say that when we are still in the dream, the illusion of scarcity, and that we feel as if we need the world to give us something. We see the world as a place for taking from or forgetting from. So I say that's forgetting, that's forgetfulness. We've forgotten our truth, our true nature, the principle of abundance. And so we see the world, our relationships, everything we are relating to, we're doing so in order to get something, to get our needs met, to talk about survival, or talking about self-esteem, love, whatever, special love. And of course, miracles, the whole idea, the mistake is, again, believing that I'm lacking. I need this relationship to fill my sense of lack. So that's, special love. We make something special, and we develop addictions, attachments, whatever, to people, places, and things in order to feed our sense of self. Anyway, as things go along, for example, in this process, I remember once writing about sort of several different stages in the development of our understanding of forgiveness. And so I might say, I'm starting to write a long memoir, and reflecting back on my childhood, and everybody, for the most part, if they really do their work, come to understand that there was a fair amount of damage that was part of the lesson of the world is to be disappointed, to be damaged, to the point where we seek another way. We don't seek the world as the source of our comfort, our pleasure, our happiness. We take a spiritual path and we find the true source, which I speak of a lot. But in the early stages, we might say forgiveness is looking at the ability of our parents to give us love, sense of security, safety, love, connection. And so we could say, well, we learn in therapy, 12-step groups, whatever, we learn to forgive in the sense of accepting, well, they did the best they could. And then we find alternatives. But the idea of forgiving would be, well, yeah, they made a mistake, or they failed me, or the world failed me, but I can forgive it. I can basically accept that everything was a lesson, everything was there to help teach me, blah, blah, blah. So again, that's what I'd say in A New Earth, that we begin at that place of acceptance where, well, okay, that's, the world is what it is. It disappointed me, but then it moved me in a direction to find a greater truth and a true source of happiness. So at that level, forgiveness is acceptance, but we move into that level of appreciation, and then we can say about our parents, about relationships, a divorce, a loss of career, whatever, something that seemed again to disappoint us. And sometimes there could be a very strong sense of betrayal, or, you know, that we were like devastated by some experience. But again, with appreciation, we come to understand, and usually this takes some time, to appreciate how that devastation, how that loss opened us to something new, something very important, something that we needed, that devastation, that loss, to move us in a different direction. So there's an appreciation for everything. And again, we bring it to a spiritual principle where we see that everything, always, the world, the universe was always working for my highest good. And which of course is true. So it's a level of appreciation. So forgiveness would be now at a level beyond acceptance, but actually appreciating what happened. The final stage, which will come much later in our journey, is actually the recognition that from the beginning, our true disappointment was created by our own misunderstanding about the world, that we thought that the world was supposed to be giving us something, when in fact, we were born to give. We were born to give our highest creative expression to the world. So always the situations in our life were there as pointers. So there's a great teaching that would say that whenever we encounter a disappointment, that in that disappointment is a pointer to something radically different. So again, getting to the place where we come to realize that the world is for giving to, that our function is to be giving our highest creative expression, our love, our compassion, our patience, all of the highest qualities that come with our sense of abundance, our sense of completion, our sense of fulfillment, which we again have come to realize is an eternal process, that again, our function is to find and deepen our relationship with the eternal, the unmanifested God, paradise, the timeless realm. And in that relationship, finding all of the energetic supports for our highest levels of creativity. And again, in the expression of this creativity, we find ourselves in the state of enthusiasm, okay, which is literally translated means, you know, finding God within. With God within, or this creative impulse within us, we see now the world as an opportunity, an endless opportunity to give. Okay, so this is the true and ultimate meaning of forgiveness, which is a total reversal from an earlier understanding of forgiveness, that we come to see what the world is for, what is the space-time world giving to us. So we can be in an endless state of appreciation for every day being that opportunity. I mean, literally look at space and time. Okay, these are the two coordinates of this world. Space, right? There's me, there's others. There's this spatial awareness of relationships, things, nature, whatever. That space, literally space, exists as a template in which we give. Similarly, time. Time is the other coordinate of this world. It's a space-time condition. And these two coordinates or templates, space and time, are both the opportunity in which we communicate from the timeless realm into this space-time matrix. Okay, that being our function as we do it, as we see each day, each moment potentially as that shimmering opportunity. We're in heaven. We're in, literally, this is the creation of heaven and earth. We're bringing the quality from the timeless realm or heaven into the space-time world. So we are creating heaven on earth. This is what we were born to do. So as I write my final memoir about my evolution and coming into my full awareness of my energetic reality and naming that Sun King, it's really the evolution. So my story is really the story of Sun King, okay, of this person, a body and a person that was born and lived awkwardly in the human experience. Awkwardly meaning that I was already sort of chosen, or I would eventually hear the call and choose to follow it, that this voice from the beginning was telling me, this isn't what you think it is, okay? This family, this middle-class life, these activities, these things are not what they seem to be. They're not, the appearance of life being other people and activities and whatever, vacation planning, just all of the things that we're conditioned to believe. I never quite believed it. It never quite took. I failed at the process of socialization. So in that failure was my eventual success. Okay, by failing in the world, I would be pointed in the direction of my true nature and my ultimate success. I was talking with my mom yesterday that, glad she's lived long enough. She's 96 this April, and I'm glad she's lived long enough to see her son, who appeared to struggle greatly, perhaps not as greatly as my younger sister, who committed suicide at 35. But like her, and unlike our two older sisters who fit very well in the world, and they found their satisfaction in their role in the world, I did not, and my younger sister did not. And so, one alternative, and this is something very important to share in my journey, is that, my younger sister, with whom I had a very close relationship, her failure in the sense of suicide, which again, I was right there assisting her and supporting her decision when you're in that much pain, that dropping the body is sometimes the best alternative. And as I've shared with some of you before, the beauty of that relationship that we had in her former life now is manifested in her reincarnation as my daughter. And I get to really give her what she never received in her past life, which was a true sense of love, especially from a father. And it's just one of those beautiful, magical things that we come to realize more and more as we open ourselves to this relationship with the universe, is how perfectly things evolve. Okay, and so it's really gonna be fun for me over this next several months, and I think I'll do a separate series of videos, basically, reciting the memoir as I write it. But it's remarkable to find in one's life this sense of fullness and completion that, for many people, it takes a series of lifetimes. And I'm sure that's not untrue for myself. It just would appear that this is the last lifetime in a series of reincarnations, only because there's a completion, there's a sense of karmic completion that if you're doing this work in your life, if you're looking at the pieces, ideally you want to see all the pieces come together so there's no more unfinished business. There's no more like sense of like, wow, I missed out on that, or that never quite made sense to me, or whatever. There wasn't a sense of completion. And one of the things that I mention often like to reinforce why I'm calling this series of talks under the title of the OASIS experience, as opposed to conscious living, is that there is an actual experience, and it might come in a series of moments, but there's an actual experience that I'm calling the OASIS experience, where you know this completion, you know this. It's just like the full awareness of what you are, why you were born, why the world is as it is, why every little thing that happened in your own particular incarnation worked perfectly. So it's like there's nothing undone. There's no like, oh, there's still a mystery about that or this. And that's an amazing experience. It's like I shared once, I guess it was in a conversation about how in my journey, it was very peripatetic, meaning I was moving all the time, always kind of searching for that place, the oasis, the place of completion and all of that. So when we signed the papers just about 2 years ago on this place, and just recently we signed papers again, solidifying the fact that as owners now, I will never leave this place. That was an amazing thing for someone like me who had lived in 50 plus places in my life to realize ultimately that, oh, I'll never move again. This is the last place. This is the completion of that journey. It's that search. And again, if we believe in reincarnation, if we understand that perhaps we've had many lifetimes that, or as a part of the greater soul, we share the consciousness of many lifetimes with all others. Always there's this evolutionary pull and push to arrive at a place, just if only within that lifetime, where you feel satisfied that you have learned the very thing you were born to learn, that you were able to accomplish the very thing that you were born to accomplish, whatever that might be. And again, in that accomplishment, you feel fully satisfied that you're able to give, your highest gift. And again, like I say, that's the ultimate secret comes in this ability to give from the highest place of creativity and love and compassion and all of that we are able. And then, like I've said recently, arriving at this place just about a year ago, then recognizing that the day-to-day existence will be truly paradise in that it's a uniform. There's no longer other pieces, other things. There's no longer any more work to do to bring this life experience into a full integration. And then every day becomes just another day, the same. It's like, wow, get to do the same thing. Let's say if I have 20 years, how many days is that? About 7,200 days or something. Or 70,000. Yeah, I can get my numbers mixed up. 70,000. Imagine 70,000. be like Bill Murray in the Groundhog Day. It's like every day is simply going to be the same thing. But if the same thing is like perfect, who would not want perfection? To the egoic mind, the idea of paradise being this uniform, steady state is not like good things and bad things and everything just is. Well, to the egoic mind, that's like hell. Are you kidding? The ego would hate that. It's like, no, I need the conflict. I need to be seeking. It's like always like that quote from Jonathan Livingston Seagull about seeking. It's good to be a seeker, but sooner or later it's good to be a finder, and then giving what you have found as a gift to the world. But to the egoic mind, seeking is the point. You don't want to find. There's a great Rabindranath Tagore poem, one of the greatest Indian mystics, and it basically just says, I'm searching for truth, searching for God, whatever language you want to use for all of these lifetimes, thousands of years. And the key is not to find what you're searching for, because then if you find it, then the search is over. So it's a very mind-bending paradox to arrive at a place where there's no longer anything to find. There's no longer any searching. Again, that's why I'm saying it takes this evolution from the tribal mind to the egoic mind into this new level of mind, this new level of consciousness that enjoys that peace and harmony and a steady state, that's enjoyable, not boring. Or I watch my little daughter, and she's so cute at her stage of development. It's like she needs this activity, or otherwise she's like, I'm bored. I'm bored. It's so boring. It's like, you get to play all day long. How is that boring? Well, it's her little ego is developing itself where there's like there's something better than there. That's the nature of the egoic mind. It's always comparing. Say, well, this is okay, but this is better, or this is worse. This is much better than that. And it's just a necessary part of the development. I certainly would never try to rob her of that progression in her own sweet life. But she has a great advantage over, if I think of my childhood, that the modeling that I was given, it was going to make it a several decade-long search to find the true models and teachers that would inform me and enlighten me. So again, who knows? That's why it's pretty exciting in our evolutionary collective journey, that as more and more of us do, the 1,000 points of light, it's not like a few avatars that walk the planet over a period of millennia. It's like thousands of us waking up and then being these models for the children, and them starting from a position of pretty high level of happiness. And just imagine a child growing up without disappointment, without a sense of lack of love, without just not being fed the conditioning that, part of life is to struggle, and you're going to have to seek this and find this and do this and do that. It's like my daughter is going to get an odd, refreshing but odd, relative to her cousins and friends, others that she'll meet, representation of sort of the true nature of happiness via her father, and know that from the beginning. So for her, it won't be like a big revelation one day to find it. It'd be like, oh, that's normal. the new normal in a new earth is to be really happy all the time, to not struggle, to not suffer, to not, there's no need for that any longer. If it would make sense if you're living in paradise, in a place of total abundance, that one's life would become so much more efficient because you're not spending so much of that energy of life searching and reconstructing. I just think of all the times that I, for instance, built something, built a garden, built something beautiful, but then, well, I'm only here a couple of years now. I move on and I do it again, and then I do it again. So here are these projects that I have. It's pretty fascinating. Go, I built that stone cottage cabin last year during the lockdown, and it was very satisfying. It was 6 months of devoted work each day, moving a lot of material and all that, and I'm very happy with the result. And always in the past, I'd be happy enough because, okay, well, I'll move on and do it again. Well, I'm not moving on. So I just had this revelation 2 days ago because I have all the stone that I'm trying to collect from the Quebrada, all this basalt, beautiful black, the hardest stone on the planet. And I used a lot of that basalt in one of the walls in my cottage cabin structure, but I never finished certain areas just because, well, that was enough. And always in my life, just moving. It's like, okay, well, that's enough. But now I'm here, I said to Kati, you know what? I'm actually going to start doing the second phase, making it more complete, making it more beautiful, making it more, just, adding detail. I've never been like a detail person. I'm just wanting to create, wanting to be in the flux of the new creativity. And then the details I'd leave to either the details would be undone or someone else might step in and be good at, details. So it's just amazing for me, it's still relatively new, just 2 years in this process, but I envision a couple of decades doing this and just seeing how this unfolds, because again, we're stepping into something that's not normal. Again, many people have had the same awarenesses that I have in the past, but the world wasn't in the place yet to fully embody that, to have that become the norm for the others. So it's very satisfying for me to be able to do this now on a daily basis, talk about very, very high level consciousness, and accept that this will become, for so many of you, our shared normal. So yeah, it's with great satisfaction that bring this clarity to this idea of forgiveness, that true forgiveness is recognizing the world, time and space, as an opportunity to give our highest creative expression. That's our function, that's our happiness, that's our truth, that's why we're here. Thank you so much.